When I found out how serious my kidney disease was, I was very angry. I thought, well, why me? Why not someone else? I thought I was a good kid. I thought I was a good student. I was nice to people. Why did this happen to me? I had plans for college, to get married, to have kids in the house and the career, and I just felt as though all that wouldn't come true for me because of this disease. And I thought that was unfair.
I was completely shocked. I had never had so much as a broken bone before my entire life. And here I was heading into the last semester of my senior year of college. I was happy. My family was wonderful. I had an incredible boyfriend. I was about ready to start my career. I was, at college on an academic scholarship. I was there on a vocal scholarship as well. And I had a bright future ahead of me, and everything was sort of planned out for me. And to be diagnosed with lupus and kidney failure at age 21 when you're about to start your life is really scary and really shocking. So I didn't quite know what to do. I cried. I had some why me, I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm about to, I'm a good person. I've never done anything wrong in my life, but this is happening to me. And I had a few minutes of that and then sort of decided I needed to buck up and find out what was wrong with me and take care of it.
Before the kidney disease became a part of my life, I was angry. I was an angry young man because life was hard. The tragedy for me is the fact that I believe that I was just about to reach the point where things were about to get better. I was on my way to college. I had a scholarship. I had great relationships. It really appeared as if things were finally about to go my way. And then this doctor says, you have this disease that will probably kill you. And I was an angry person who was getting better, and I just went to a whole nother level with my anger. I became someone who was not approachable. I just couldn't understand why this was happening to me.
So I had to stop my life basically. I stopped going to school. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't, party, as you would say. And it was like living an alternate life. So I stopped being Evan Ellington, the young adult at 19, and became the dialysis patient. And now I'm just getting back into the young adult at 22. Well, for me, life changed. I was in school to become an OBGYN, and I figured I can just continue on doing what I was doing. I don't drink or anything like that. I'm a really good girl. It's just that I like to move. I'm a constant mover. I can't sit still. I have to be gone all the time.
Well, I guess the biggest thing is I didn't dream of it. I didn't think, oh, one day when I grow up I want to have kidney disease and, have to be on a machine 10 hours. So I guess that's the toughest part is having to deal with it all. I mean, as a 26-year-old, I don't know too many other 26-year-olds that has to deal with it. Maybe part of the way she has to deal with it is because it seemed like that's, every day I had to hear about, oh, you have kidney disease, and sometimes I just didn't want to, I was still doing my dialysis, but I just didn't want to have to go to the doctors and talk to them.
I do not feel that the kidney disease interrupted my growing process per se. If anything, I felt that it sped up the process. One of the greater tragedies to me is that this process has aged me. Well, I'm a young man And this huge thing was just thrown into my lap. And I absolutely point the finger at this disease, and it's aged me so much emotionally and mentally that I'm really not a 26-year-old anymore.
There is no cure for kidney disease. So just because I have a transplant doesn't mean I'm cured whatsoever. I take about 60 pills a day. There are many different manifestations in my life that I would much rather do without, but unfortunately they come along with the baggage of a transplant. Health insurance. I cannot be without health insurance at any moment. It'd be virtually impossible for me to afford even one of my medications out of pocket, let alone all of them. Yes. I had to go to the doctor, whether or not I felt ill. Was my blood pressure okay? Did I have to get my blood work done before class? So I didn't get those extra hour and a half, 3 hours of sleep. If I'd go to the ER in the middle of the night, I would roll into Org Chem at 9 in the morning from the ER while other people were rolling in from parties or from a good night's sleep.
No one ever told me that I couldn't have kids, but they said that it's a 1 in 3 chance that my children will end up with the same problems that I have. Having children became that something that I could kind of look forward to, and it became this idea of I could kind of right the wrongs that were done to me.
Well, for everybody who knows me, I'm very, very independent. My mom raised me not to depend on any person, particularly any guy. So I, pay my own bills. I was moving out of my mom's house and starting dialysis. Basically, you have to stop because it's good to have somebody there. Every time I got ready to move out, I had to stop because I ended up in the hospital. I lost $100 because I bet somebody by my birthday I would be gone, and I ended up in the hospital and out of work for 2 months. So I lost that bet.
Young people, or rather people in my age group, we're at this point where we're not being needy and being dependent is just so important. And this idea of I need to depend on someone else just doesn't work with everything else in my life that's saying you need to learn not to be so needy. You need to learn to be self-sufficient.
My friends now, they care more about me. I mean, I don't know if they do, but they take maybe more care of me than they do with other friends or other people, just because they know that I have this disease and they know it could be life-threatening, and they don't want me to pass away. So they pretty much, they try to watch out for me. If we go out, I'm 26, people are like, oh, you want a beer, want a drink? And I'm like, no, I can't. And my friends stick up for me. They're there. They understand that, and they understand like, oh, I have to go home. I have to go do dialysis.
I don't like people to fuss over me or treat me like I'm sick. It bothered me in part because I was in my early 20s and I wasn't living in my parents' house anymore, and I didn't want to be treated like a child. I felt capable of taking care of myself. I didn't want to be treated like a child. I think it's really hard for the people around somebody who has a chronic illness to know what to do. Because there are times where I do want everybody to, put their arms around me and be supportive and try to make me feel better. And there are other times where I want everybody to back off. And I don't even know what causes the change sometimes.
Though I do hate the fact that everybody feels like they have to be nice to me, because if I don't, then something will happen to me. I'll go and snatch my tube out and refuse to do dialysis. But it's the sympathy part. I understand. It's nobody wants anybody to be sympathetic toward them, because it's just like somebody telling you dialysis is really bad. We're gonna try to make it as good as well as possible. Only you can make it good for yourself. You can make it work for you. You don't want anybody else telling you that, you know, we're so sorry and here, let me do this for you, because then it makes you feel inferior and you can't do anything for yourself.
And while all my friends were getting ready to go away at school and having graduation parties, I was at home because I just didn't feel good. They didn't think I was contagious, but a lot of them didn't know how to handle the situation. They thought they had to handle me with kid gloves, so to speak. You know, they were sorry that it happened to me, but they really didn't know what to say or do because they couldn't understand what I was going through. And they didn't know anyone else who was going through what I was going through at the time.
I opted for the peritoneal dialysis, so that meant that there was a tube coming out of my stomach, and people just aren't prepared for that. People don't see that every day, so you know, if you're changing in the locker room and the guy next to you sees a tube hanging from your belly, he will react. If I decide to pursue a relationship with someone, I have to figure out, how do I prep this person for the fact that there's a tube hanging out of my person, you know, hanging out of my abdomen. If I get physical with someone, you know, there's always the concerns about, you know, them laying on it or them accidentally pulling it. If I'm hooked up to my machine, there's always the concerns about them getting wrapped up in it. You know, there's the concerns about me getting wrapped up in it, you know.
Before I met my husband, the biggest piece probably would have been facial hair in terms of body image issues, or just hair anywhere. Anybody that takes the prednisone and the cyclosporin knows that you just grow hair. I would get very paranoid about people getting too close to me and maybe seeing that I had a mustache, or seeing that I have a little, probably more facial hair than is normal. Because I can't really think of any society in the world where a female with a mustache is attractive. Kidney failure definitely played a big role in when I met my husband. You want to be honest at first because you don't want to waste your time with someone who, once that later on down the road, they might not be able to handle the truth. But at the same time, you just want to have fun with the person that you're with.
When you're in high school, you want to impress everybody. So it's just natural that when you get past the age of maybe 16, when you're still in high school, but past 18, you still have to keep that image of, you know, I want everybody to like me. I have to be beautiful.
With women, it's a little tougher because it's something like, hey, I'm Josh, how are you doing? And then you almost have to let them know right away, because that's something that would, you know, scare me if someone didn't tell me about them, if a woman didn't tell me, you know. To me, it's just part of me. My catheter is part of me, as my leg is, as my arm is, as my head is. So to me, it's just another part of me. But I know that there's been people that have, you know, been scared off by it just because, oh no, what is that weird thing, you know? Are you a robot?
Definitely body image. Someone in their 60s, I'm assuming, would deal with it better than someone in their late teens or early 20s. I did have body issues because I had so many surgeries. I didn't find myself attractive at times, and I thought that someone else wouldn't find me attractive.
I think young people facing it don't want to feel that their hopes and dreams are gone, that they don't have any chance of having a future. And it's important to remember that they still want to be able to have friends. They want to be able to go out and have a few drinks once in a while. They want to be able to go out dancing. They want to know that they can have a family someday.
I guess I'm still along the sports dream, not so much playing. I mean, yeah, there's still, a dream in the back of my head that one day you play sports or, that. But I guess everybody has their own little dreams that they know that will never come true, or, who knows. But I still want to become a broadcaster, radio type kind of person, and there's nothing that says I can't.
When I look back at that angry, very, very angry part of my life, I've learned to forgive myself for being so angry during that period. And I was never malicious per se. I didn't like kick puppies or anything like that. But most people, they want to see the beauty in life. They want to make things easier. They want to see the silver lining. And this disease was just so overwhelming for me. I couldn't appreciate the idea of a silver lining.
I think it's just something that you have to deal with. It's not like I can choose not to be dealing with this. I can either know that I have it and complain about it all the time and let it drag me down and think, oh my gosh, I have to take all these pills and I have to see the doctors and I have to get my labs done. Or I could say, this is part of me, and so I need to just work it in the best way that I can. Yes, it's a pain. Okay, I don't like getting my labs done any more than the next person does, but okay, well, next Wednesday I've got to go do that. Oh well, so I go do it, and then I go about my life. Just the fact that I'm aware of what's going on with me allows me to put it in my life and just live with it and not try to live against it.
But I would say to people not to give up on the things that you want just because you have this disease, that it is possible to go forward. I incorporated the disease into my life more after my children were born.
For the most part, I accomplished the things that I wanted to do. I just did it at a different timeline. I had a couple of detours, but you get to a point where you define a new sense of normalcy. My normal is different from a healthy person's normal, and that's okay.
You don't have to talk about it, but don't ignore it like it's not there. The more you embrace it, the more you get used to it, the more you don't, I don't say you don't care, but you don't think of it as a part of your life, like it's overtaking your life. So you have to know that this is your life, it's not dialysis life. Let it, be on dialysis, don't let it be on you.
About the most important thing I learned about life, that not everybody's 100% healthy, that not everybody's really sick, that even if you are sick, even at my lowest of lows, I still was able to get up and still keep going. And I think that's in my mind was the plan. No matter what I had, no matter what was keeping me down, was to keep going. There is, you just have to adapt. I guess just take your, adapt, listen to the doctors, listen to the nurses, and the social worker. And in the end, yeah, you're not perfect, but no one is. So I just feel like you just keep going and adapt. And look at me. I'm the greatest.